Hello, everyone. I am joined here today by Bellator's number 10 ranked lightweight, Archie Colgan. Archie, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well, man. It's a beautiful Saturday morning in the midst of camp. I'm good. I'm healthy. I'm happy.
Good. I love to hear that. Your last fight went pretty well. You got a new one booked already. Tell me, were you expecting to have another fight booked so soon?
No, I mean, like if you go back to like the post fight press conferences, they're asking me like when I want to come back. I told them, I have my second child is due late May. So unless it was a super dope opportunity, uh, then yeah, I would like to go maybe August was what I was hoping for. But I honestly, when those words left my mouth, I kind of knew that, it was they were gonna bring some sort of opportunity. It just felt weird. Like it just felt like it was gonna happen. And then on fought on Friday, and then like on Monday or Tuesday, they called me. So not even, they called me like 3 days, 4 days after. Offered it to me, and I was like, shoot, let's do it.
Got to take it. I know.
Yeah.
I know you said that it was up to either you getting a really good opportunity or you getting like you had to get a really good opportunity basically just to be able to take another fight because you did say you weren't going to fight until late July, August, So I was a little surprised when I saw mid June, but I'm happy for you. It is a big fight. But Emmanuel Sanchez is on a four fight losing streak. Do you see this as an easy fight in a sense, or do you see him as like, a downhill trending fighter? Like, what do you think of this matchup?
I think he's gonna be as dangerous and calculated and deadly as he can be. I think, to be completely honest, the obvious is yeah, he's on a four fight losing streak. He's coming from being a title contender to now on a four fight losing streak, moving up a weight class. You can look at those things and say, yeah, man, this guy's just on his decline. He's just not into it. But and that might be true, but that would be ignorant for me to go into a fight with that mindset. I see it as he's a former title contender. He's on a four fight losing streak, and he with on a five fight losing streak, he might get cut from Bellator. So he's gonna be on his P's and Q's, and he's gonna be as dangerous as he can be. He doesn't want his career to end here in Bellator. He has like 18, 19 fights here in Bellator. I'm sure he doesn't want it to end now. So he's probably on his, I see it as he's on his last draw. And he understands that, and he has to come out and get a win. And I have to make sure he doesn't.
Got you. Yeah. So you're basically just seeing that as like he's pulling out all the last stops, just trying to get it done and trying to basically save his career in Bellator at this point because a five fight losing
Yeah.
streak is definitely not where he'd want to be. But
Yeah.
like you said, he is a former title contender. Do you see a win in this fight possibly pushing you into maybe not the title picture, but closer to that title picture? Like where do you think how many fights away do
Sure.
you think you are from a title shot after a win here?
Oh man. I think I don't know, four, three or four.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just being honest. The division's held up. The top of the top, all the top 10 guys, they're held up in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's gonna hold off for I don't know, at least another 8 months, 9 months, maybe 10 months.
Yeah, you never
Well, I
really
guess
know.
that 35 just ended now. So yeah, maybe up to a year. This guy's gonna be all tied up doing that. So then they're just, I want to stay active. Just because those guys are tied up doesn't mean that I'm not gonna have to fight somebody or willing to fight somebody who's like, not looking like an upper trajectory towards the title. I gotta stay active. I only got 7, 8 fights now. After this fight, it'll be eight. So,
Yep.
I'll have to bang off a few fights and three, four, five, whatever it is. I'm not really. Uh, I don't know. I'm not against fighting and staying active. I understand that that's part of my career choice, and um, I know that I have to gain experience out there. So
So, like you just said, you have stayed very active throughout your career. I think I don't know exactly how many amateur fights you have, but this is like your 12th plus fight in like 3.5 years at this point. Is staying active something you planned at the start of your career? Because you've been able to do a great job with that.
yeah, yeah. I got told early, like, be active in the beginning because when you get to like the latter end of your career, when you're 33, 34, 35, 36, or 7, those years, it ends up being, 1, 2 fights a year, and to get to that point, you have to build some notoriety behind your name and some backing to prove that. And that's just what I'm doing. I'm just doing the groundwork. And when the time comes where I'm 36 years old, 35 years old, and I'm only fighting once or twice a year, like, I did the work to get to that point.
Yeah, you can because you fought so much earlier on in your career and you have
Yeah.
so many fights accumulated already. I get exactly where you're coming from. Yeah. So, did you feel any extra pressure to perform in the Montalvo fight with getting bumped up to the main card so early, not so early, so late into the process? I mean, I think it was what, the day before the card?
Yeah, somebody fell out, I think, with visa issues.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was crazy. So how that happened, I was cutting weight. Mike Colgan had reached out and said, that first of all, I didn't think I didn't know what was going to happen because I was throwing up, I was cutting weight, and
Okay.
I had mad food poisoning. So I was throwing up
Yeah.
at the gym. I was still like 6 pounds over, and I went to bed that night thinking I wasn't going to make weight. I was like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to make weight. And then I looked at my Instagram, and Kogan's like, hey, got you up to the main card. I was like, fuck, I got
Oh,
to fill out. I can't do
I
that.
have to make weight.
I
Now
have
now
to.
you didn't have a choice.
I know. I was like, fuck, I can't get cut as the main card of the this weight. And I was like, all right. So we made weight. And then the bumping of the main card, no, I don't know. I felt like it was all just setting itself up for what it was.
Gotcha.
I didn't feel more pressure to go get the finish, but I knew that I was going to finish that guy. Whether it had been on the ground or something else, but I knew I was going to finish that guy. I just knew I was better than him. And I knew we were at the same point in our career.
Mm-hmm.
We were on two different levels,
Yeah, no,
so
you could kind of tell in the fight that like you guys like I know you talked a lot before the fight about how you guys were like same point in your career. I want to say you were 7-0, he was 6-0, and like this the fin
I don't know, 6 and 5.
6-5. So 6-5-0, and he had 4 finishes, you had 5 finishes. So it was
Yeah,
definitely one of those things where you guys were at the same point in your career, but then you watched the fight and you could kind of tell that that didn't really hold true necessarily.
yeah, yeah. Same point, but just different levels.
Yeah. So you said you didn't really feel any extra pressure to perform. Did you feel any extra pressure to perform after his antics at the weigh-ins and just the fight week in general?
Yeah, not. I didn't feel like pressure to go get more of a finish, but I was like, "There's no way I
Mm-hmm.
can't." Guy I wasn't putting pressure on myself, but I was like, "Man, like he's just super disrespectful for no reason, really." You know, I guess maybe he's trying to sell the fight, but the undefeated guys with 4 finishes and 5 finishes sells itself,
Yeah,
I
that
think.
sells itself,
But
definitely.
whatever his choice was, I don't really hold it against him because that's just part of the game, and
Yeah.
that's what the fight game is at the same time. But talk is cheap, and he talked, and I definitely wanted to shut him up.
So you're good friends with Bryce Meredith. You guys kind of grew up in MMA together. Just tell me a little bit more about that relationship and just, you guys being in Bellator together now, having your careers go side by side.
Yeah, Bryce is actually today's his birthday. Shout out
Oh,
Bryce. Happy birthday, Bryce.
shout out Bryce, man. Happy birthday.
Yeah, 28 years old. Yeah, he's Bryce and I we wrestled a long time ago when we were little kids. Probably like, 11, 12 years old. That's where we first knew each other, and then knew each other throughout high school, obviously. Then we're college teammates, and now getting into the MMA scene together, like, we'll bounce things off of each other just a little bit here and there. And it's been good to watch his career. He's been really dominant, and I think he's 4-0 right now with 4 finishes,
Yeah, something like that.
maybe 3. But yeah, something around there. All of his fights, I'm pretty sure finishes though. So he's doing really good. I'm happy that he's on Bellator. I'm sure, the bigger our names get, the more that they'll want to put us on cards
Yep.
together for a lineage thing that they
Mm-hmm.
can try and back the stories. So, it's going to be fun to kind of run this career up with him.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing that promotions love to do is like promote guys that
Yeah.
have been together. So definitely something you could see with you guys in the future. Also, you've been training a lot with Drew Dober for his upcoming fight and for your upcoming fight now. Just tell me a little bit how
Yeah.
it is training with Drew Dober. I mean, that chin solid.
Yeah, Drew's solid, man. He's a good dude. He's almost a little too nice, honestly, because the first time I met him, I thought he was like really friendly to me and like overly friendly. I thought he was like fucking with me, honestly. Like how nice he was being to me, I was like, this guy's like trying to clown me a little bit. And I got to know him. I'm like, oh dang, he's just like that friendly. He's like that, overly talking to people. That's just who he is. He's just an extrovert like that. So he's good. He feels good. He's his game is looking sharp. It's been real fun training with him over the years. I'm excited to see what he does in this fight. He's got another um, Sarah Longo gym guy that he's fighting, that Frivola guy.
Yeah,
That's the guy
yeah.
I just
I
fought.
was I
He's
was I
knocking
was
them
at
out.
I was at Saralongo yesterday actually for their open
Oh yeah,
workout and Q&A. So yeah,
nice,
Frivola wasn't there, but I actually was at Longo and Weidman at MMA yesterday. So that's funny.
nice. Yeah. So yeah, we just have their name right now.
Hmm.
We're trying to take out their gym, I
Yeah,
guess.
man. I mean,
Gym
I
versus gym battle.
hey man, as a journalist, I'm not involved. I could care less. But it's what's it? It's just it is funny to see like the little gym battle that's going on there in a sense. But so
Yeah.
you're expecting your second child in about a
Yeah.
month now. Tell me
Yeah.
what's it? Just tell me how it is finding that balance between like father and fighting, like fatherhood and fighting, and just how being a dad is and being a fighter.
Yeah. I mean, so there's pros and cons for sure. Like I mean, any working man gets tired, but when you come home from training all day, it's a little different because you're like physically spent. Like your body is like spent from getting touched and
Yeah,
just
you don't even want to
anything.
get up.
Yeah, I want to go lay on that couch real quick,
Mm-hmm.
for 40 minutes, and then I'll get up and
Okay.
I can be active. But I also like the fact that, I'm not doing, I'm not away for 10 hours in a day. I get to come home in spurts and see my kid and go back and see my kid and go back. And, I like that. Like I'm more present. And, I'm not even going to complain because I love being a fighter. This is what I like to do. I like training. Um, but it's fun. It has its challenges. It has some motivation factors to it. But that's not like my sole motivation. A lot of people talk about that, like, my kid's my motivation now. And it's like, no, honestly, there's two separate things because one day fighting is it's going to end and I'm going to be a father.
Yeah.
And what am I going to say then? What's my motivation then? My kid is my motivation. No, like I love my kids. But I joined fighting before I ever had a kid. And my motivation for fighting is to be great. Um, and with that greatness will help support and produce for my family.
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you're saying. Fighting was a passion before you even had your children, so you can't necessarily say that like your motivation is your kids because that was something
Yeah,
that you had already been in love with at that point. No,
yeah,
so you're talking about that motivation and those kind of factors that motivate you and stuff, and you always talk about that last loss you had in wrestling in college before you came over to MMA and everything. You had that last loss in wrestling. You say it always stays on your mind. It haunts you to this day. Do you
yeah.
think that will be something that you can get over time, or is that something that you're always going to be able to use as like a motivation factor no matter what?
Oh man. Well, to be honest, I think I am over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I moved on from it. I'm not upset by the fact of it anymore, or sad or hurt or anything. It just sucks though. It just sucks that when I think back on I started wrestling when I was 4 years old. I think I was about 22 when I finished. It's 18 years of my life dedicated to the sport, and my worst performance was my last match. That's crazy for me to have thought about it in that way. But when I sit on it and I think about it, like I'm happy with it in the sense that if I had gotten the goals that I wanted out of wrestling, I wouldn't be here fighting. I wouldn't be here talking with you today. I would still be wrestling. I would still be chasing the dreams of an Olympic title and a world championship in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be doing these things. And who's to say maybe I would be just as happy or more happy or maybe not. But I can tell you right now that I'm really happy with where my life is. So the short term hurt definitely hurt and put a dagger into my heart and my spirit. But the long term, I think God just had a plan to kind of guide me into this direction without me knowing. They say that a lot. Sometimes you don't even know what's happening in life, but you just got to trust the process. And as much as it sucked to go through that feeling, I think part of my heart is still left in that arena that the Cleveland Cavaliers play with
Okay.
in Cleveland, Ohio. But majority of my heart is still right here in my chest, and I'm chasing a new goal. And yeah, it sucks, but I moved past it. And when I'm world champion in MMA, I'll know why I wasn't the All American.
Obviously, like you said, it does suck. It's not a good thing, but in a sense, it led to so many good things. Like without that loss, like you said, you would be if you won that and got to your goals, you'd be somewhere completely in a different place right now. And you just like you said, you don't know if you'd be in a place where you'd want to be like the way you are now. It's just it would have just set off a different chain reaction of events that just I'm glad that it was you. I'm glad in a sense that you took that loss, and it seems like you almost are not glad, but that you almost wouldn't change it because it almost did a lot for you as like just like building your character and building you as a fighter and a person.
Yeah, it took a while to really admit that,
Hmm.
outspokenly,
Yeah.
and just admit that, like, yeah, maybe I did need to take that loss so I could be in this position. Because the competitor, the person inside wants to say, I could have done both. I could have had
Yeah.
all the success and then still been here. But that's not true. I know the position that I'm in. I'm happy with the position I'm in. It freaking sucks that the things that I really wanted didn't happen. But I'm so happy with the things that are happening now. So I don't regret it.
Good to
Or
hear.
I guess I can't regret it because I
No,
lost.
no.
It's not
Well,
like I made a decision. I wouldn't change it.
no, I get exactly where you're coming from, and it makes sense. I'm happy that things went the way they did, even though you lost the match. I'm very happy that you ended up where you are today. So you ended up hiring a dietitian to help with your cut down to 155. Do you end up do you think you'll end up staying at 155, or is a move back up to welterweight inevitable at some point?
I mean, with all these kids, maybe one day the dad bod will take full effect. Nah, yeah, I'm for the majority of my career, I plan on staying at 155. But like, I'm probably not going to get any smaller over the years, and maybe in the late years of like 36s, 37, something like that. Maybe it'd be different, but no, the
Okay.
my work of my career is going to be done at 155. I'm not going anywhere.
Got you. All right. So, have you ever been put in a buggy choke before the Simons fight? I had to ask you that question. Like
No,
even in training, like had you ever been put in
no,
a buggy choke? I was about to
no.
say, I don't. How do you even? What was what was your initial reaction when you got put in that choke? Like I know you obviously slammed him down and ended up finishing him. Obviously, it went very well for you. But just
Yeah.
what was your initial reaction when he just like wrapped you up in that? Like, did you actually were you getting choked? Like, what did you feel?
No, like, well, I knew he wouldn't like commit his body
Hmm.
to me like that if he wasn't doing something.
Okay.
So at first he was doing it, and then he was like locked his hand up, and I was like, man, what's this guy doing? And then I sat up with him, and then he was still holding it. And I was like, well, he wouldn't be doing this if he wasn't trying something. So then I stood all the way up, and by then he's too committed. Like he can't bail if he wanted to, because by the time I stood up to the ground, it was like half a second,
Hmm.
a second. So by the time I stood up, he was still there. I was like, all right, well, I'm too high up now to just let him back down
Yeah.
softly.
So just gonna throw him right down.
Have to.
No, no, it was great. It was a great performance and it was a great just sequence. When I saw that, I was just like, "What?" I had never seen something
Yeah.
like that. So that was cool. You had the
Thank
fight
you.
in Eagle FC on the Lee versus Sanchez undercard. That has to be probably the biggest Eagle FC card. Tell me how you ended up on that card because you were with Bellator right after and like just explain that situation to me.
Well, on the so that Simon's fight was also with Bellator,
Hmm.
and for some reason they didn't want to sign me right after that one. So I had this off period, and I had a change of management. Um, I went from my prior manager to now Ali, who's my current manager,
Okay.
and he obviously has the connections with Eagle and Khabib and stuff,
Okay.
and we signed with there. Um, had that fight, everything went well. And then I don't know what kind of happened with Eagle. I think maybe with the Russia, Ukraine stuff, they're tied up and they
Mm.
can't really do stuff in the States right now. But we signed with Bellator right after that fight. And now we're here.
And here we are. Okay. So, last thing I wanted to ask you, we talked about this a little bit before, the lightweight Grand Prix. What are your thoughts on what's happened so far? What are your predictions on who wins? And just talk about the Grand Prix a little bit.
I think it's a good tournament. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't see Usman finishing Benson like that. Not that he couldn't finish him on the ground. I think he's really good everywhere. I just didn't see that sequence that dropped him. Benson getting caught with that early or that in that situation. That just shows how good he is as a
Mm-hmm.
champion. So, because Benson's really good also. But I think if I have to put my prediction, it's going to be AJ McKee and Nurmagomedov in the finals.
That
But
would have to be
that
my pick too, by the way.
Chabli and McKee is going to be a good semifinal fight.
Okay.
Well,
What would you say will be the fight of the tournament if you had to like make a prediction on fight of the tournament? Would you say it's McKee and Shabley?
are we saying that also, McKee and Usman are a potential matchup?
If that's what you're predicting, then yes.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I
Okay.
think that's going to
Okay.
be right.
And who would you think wins that matchup?
I don't know. McKee's tricky. He's tricky. He's got some weird submissions off
Yeah.
of getting taken down.
Oh yeah, he
Like the
does.
one he hit Caldwell with was crazy.
Oh yeah.
He's got some tricky stuff, and he's slick on his feet. It'd be a southpaw versus. Well, no, Usman came out orthodox that last fight,
Yeah,
but
he did.
typically he's been southpaw. So I don't know. It'd just be a good fight. They're similar body frame. Both taller and a little more thin. Um, both strong, good grapplers, good strikers. I just think it'd be a good fight. So um, yeah, I'm excited for that if that does play out.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a fight I'd be interested in seeing too. All
Yeah.
right, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much, Archie. It was great being able to talk to you, and good luck in your fight coming up in June.
Appreciate you, Patrick.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you.
We'll definitely talk soon.